most people do. People want to elevate in life.
Absolutely.
And you have to be around people that also want to elevate. So
yeah.
even
okay.
I was like, I'm not gonna. What can I write a book about? I'm young.
even lived.
I barely. Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I said I've barely even lived. What am I gonna write a book about?
Exactly.
And I sort of put that dream to the side. And there was like a weight lifted off of me.
Really. Yes, guys, it's your boy here, Isaac Speaks, back with another episode of Let Inspiration Take Over podcast. Now, this is our inaugural episode, as they say, our very first one. For this one, it was appropriate that I had a young author by the name of Neo Kalungu-Banda, who's recently authored a book called Inspired, right? The irony is not lost on me, trust me. The fact that my podcast is called Let Inspiration Take Over and his book is called Inspired. Neo and I just sat down to unpack the book in a little bit of detail, but we also discuss his upbringing, we discuss childhood, growing up in the UK, and also just what motivated him to write the book. There was various nuggets that came out of this interview, so you most certainly do not want to miss it. As always, I'm only the messenger, so please don't shoot me. Let's let inspiration take over. Enjoy. Yes, Neo. Welcome to Let Inspiration Take Over podcast, brother. I'm so excited. You know what? I actually promised myself I wouldn't say welcome because it feels too formal, but I don't know. It just feels so exciting. Like all the work that's been done for us to get to this point. I just felt to say welcome, my brother, because obviously you're here, LiT Studios, kind of in my living room. We're back again. We've had this conversation before, but this time round is coming new because so much has changed with you. But also, you're my very first guest for this rebranded Let Inspiration Take Over. The people that might have watched me before might be able to tell, definite in the voice. You can tell that this set is different. There's some new props. The artillery is different. We are coming with the energy, so there's so much more to come, so much more to look forward to. And today is so appropriate, Neo, just to say you've traveled all the way from Leicester and you've helped me put this set together. As you can tell, it's a one-man band and there's just so much that's gone into putting this together. I am so excited to hear about your story, your journey. As you know, that's what we do here on this podcast, but for us to just chill as well and vibe and that sort of thing for the podcast. Yeah, bro, welcome and feel free, feel at home, that sort of thing. Yeah, welcome, bro.
No, thank you very much for having me, and it's good to finally meet in the flesh.
You go.
This time it's in the flesh, it's proper.
I know, right?
The first time we did it was before my book launch. Days, weeks before my book launch.
Yeah.
And we did it online and
digital.
Digital.
There
Never
you go.
met before.
Yeah.
This time, things have happened since then. The book is finally out. Things have happened, and we're finally getting to do this conversation in person.
And I must say, do you know when I met you, it felt like I've met you before, bro. Like this kid's coming through with his locks. I'm like, yo, this is my brother, So even the conversation was sort of easy, and we chatted for a couple of minutes, first few minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. I was like, yeah, this conversation is definitely going to be a lit one and that sort of thing. And, having spoken to you preliminary, I was excited to hear, just how far you've come. But before we get to the core of the things, you were telling me a little bit about your journey here, where you passed through Sheffield, you passed through Leeds, then you've come to the outskirts, Dewsbury. As you can tell, it's suburbs. It's quiet. What are your first impressions of coming here, bro?
It's a nice place. It's quiet.
Yeah.
Dewsbury I've never been here before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've actually been to Sheffield either. I think that was the first time I was at the Sheffield train station.
Brilliant.
No, it's a quite, especially where you live, it's quite mountainous, and it's my type of
country,
place.
basically, is what you're trying to say, bro.
Yeah, it's very countryside. I grew up in the countryside though, so I'm used to it. But yeah, it's nice. It's nice and quiet out here.
Now, I was telling you earlier, I actually grew up in Sheffield. That's where I was raised. My mum was a nurse. So majority of my friends still are there. So the minute I hear home, normally it's either Lusaka, Zambia, where I spent like half my life, or Sheffield, where I was kind of like groomed and raised and went through my adolescent and teenage, and so many wonderful stories that are yet to come in the podcast about Sheffield. Similarly about Leeds, I went to university there. I lived there for over 10 years, and that's the city where I met my wife as well. So all those cities have got history for me. So yeah. Cool. What are your initial impressions really of Dewsbury? I know you were noticing it's a little bit quiet as we're coming in. Yeah, what were your thoughts about that?
It seems similar to where I grew up, Banbury. Seems a bit more big. The population it seems a lot larger here. Yeah. But I haven't really seen much other than just coming train station here.
Straight. Yeah, but, 5 minutes. Yeah,
it definitely seems like a nice place, and the scenery definitely is probably one of the best things I've seen so far. Looks like a nice place.
No, definitely. The thing that drew us here really was the quietness. I always say to my wife, I want a place where you can sit, you can think, or even when I go out there to the bustle and hustle, when I come back home, I just want that peace and that quietness and that sort of thing. And I think, we've definitely managed to achieve that. And as you noticed, as you came through, you met my daughter, very active, very confident little girl, man. She runs this house, she's
a great
bro. Did you see me having to tell her she will look at me? She sat there today I'm telling her, oh, can you go upstairs, please? She's just looking at me like she's not gonna do it because she knows she runs the house and she knows Dad will melt for her. Yeah. But gotta put this stamp on, as well. Love her so much, so confident, so different from me. But wow, that's the wonders of God. Yeah. So. But yeah, you got to meet, this is the family, this is the spot. But here, I was thinking about it to say it is an introductory podcast, so just getting into it. It might be a little bit of, nervousness here and there because it's breaking it in. You get what I mean? But then I think once it gets going, boy, it will just be flowing all the time and that sort of thing. But we are definitely here to discuss you, Neo. I mean, that's the whole premise of my podcast. I think I was saying this to you earlier, or you might have seen one of my test videos before where I was saying, I just love amazing stories. I like gritty stories of people just doing amazing and inspiring things. That's why this podcast is called Let Inspiration Take Over, because we just come, we speak about, your work, what you're doing, or your aspirations and that sort of thing. And we light it up. So let inspiration take over, the acronym ILIT, lit, right? So we literally light it up in terms of just discussing. Just tell us a little bit about what's been happening recently with yourself, where you're at, just before we jump into the to the work and the book and the process and things like that. I think there'll be quite a bit to discuss, but I want to hear more recently, what's been going on since we had the conversation initially with yourself.
Yes, and for those of you who don't know me, my name is Neo Kalungu-Banda. I'm 19 years old. I'm studying psychology at the University of Leicester. Brilliant. I'm currently in my second year, and I'm Zambian, but I grew up in the UK. That's just a brief background about me. But since the last time we spoke, that was a couple of days before my book launch. So the book launch happened on October 9th. Yeah. And, that was definitely a day that changed my life and changed the whole trajectory of even just selling the book and getting inspired out there and fully publishing it.
There you go.
So, I had my launch party and my book launch itself on the 9th, family, friends, guests came. Brilliant. And, there was a whole launch, performances, speeches and so on. So that was definitely a great day and a good way to start the whole process of fully publishing your book.
I can imagine.
After that, I managed to, get in touch with a few people who helped out with articles, different podcast interviews, and got a bit of media exposure there. And then I got in contact with my university and the vice president, and we organized to get my book into the university library. Yeah.
Okay.
So that is probably that's among other things. That's one of the big things that definitely happened. I managed to meet the vice chancellor. The book went into the library in the special collections and available as reading material.
Mate,
so two copies went into the university. Great. And that was definitely something that made me happy. You know, I walked into my university library and found my book there in front of me.
Bro, I can only imagine. Do you get my point? Like, I think I've said this to you before. I've been talking about writing a book since I don't know when. But, you know, there are factors that will just be like, well, I can't do it because of this and I can't do it because... So I haven't yet taken the plunge and even properly begun, but it's something that I need to do. I was talking earlier about the podcast, even the launch of this podcast. You know, I'm such a perfectionist. I was thinking, oh, I need to get this together and I need to do that. But I know you hit me up. You were telling me, look, bro, let's get it done. Let's have the conversation, put it out. And I was saying earlier to you were actually one of the people that's inspired me to push and get it done. Of course, I always knew I'm going to come back bigger and better than ever and get it done. But oftentimes we get so carried away in trying to do something perfectly that you don't get it done. But I say that to say this, to say, you know, considering how old are you again, bro?
19.
Oh, this guy. You're just showing off now. So I was saying, you know, I was thinking about it earlier, like I'm 19 years old. I can't remember what I was doing, but I don't want to remember what I was doing. And I would say, I can confidently say, I didn't have the structure and the mentality that you have to think to put a book together or to be doing book tours or, you know, to be doing interviews or to have the foresight to know like, okay, you know, if I come on a podcast interview, you can give me that sort of exposure. So bruh, I'm really proud of you. You are an inspiration even to myself. And I think you're an inspiration to the younger generation that are to come, just for the fact that you've written a book. But then also as you're speaking, like the strides that you're making as well, I think is something that definitely needs to be shared to the world. And I'm glad to be one of the first people, you know, actually doing it with yourself. So
yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate, you know, being able to come here and have this conversation with you. So I do appreciate that. And one of the, you know, highlights as well of releasing the book was that first and foremost, I got to go back to my secondary school.
Okay.
And I gifted them with copies. You know, I went to school, did an assembly about my book and, you know, my journey as an author. And also, the assembly was mostly about trying to inspire the children in my secondary school.
Okay.
And not just to write a book, but to, you know, make the most of their time in secondary school and know that this time is important and
Absolutely.
It was relevant. It was relevant to what I wrote in Inspired.
Yeah.
And so it was good to be able to go back there, have a conversation with the teachers, do an assembly to the children and hopefully try and inspire them through my own story and my own outlook on life.
Yeah.
And that was definitely a highlight as well, being able to go back to secondary school.
Absolutely. I mean, the students, did they get to ask you questions, you know, about your journey and that sort of thing?
Not necessarily, no. Okay. I managed to just get a slot in one of the, you know, weekly assemblies.
Oh, okay.
And yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to my teachers though.
Too.
My head teacher
spoke
to me. Previous A-level teachers spoke to me, you know, they were asking me, how did you manage? How did you find the time? And so on. Yeah. So that was definitely good.
No,
that was definitely
great,
good. And one or two of my teachers bought the book as well. And some of them came to the book launch. So that was definitely a highlight. Yeah.
And that's important work as well. I mean, even with myself, before I started the podcast, there are people that look like me that are still doing it. And because I saw them doing it, that's what motivated me to be like, do you know what? If these brothers are doing it, I can do it too. And young people at that stage are quite impressionable. So if they're looking at you at your age, doing what you've done, I'm sure you've sparked something in one of them in a way that you may not know. Do you get my point? And I always say, even some of these conversations that I'll be having, you just never know what will be said and what it will spark in somebody else that's looking to do, you know, something for themselves. They want to build. You hear something and it helps to give you that confidence and that courage to say, do you know what? If my brother can do it, I can do it too. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I remember you telling me a little bit as well about the Zambian Connect. Tell us a little bit about that. To say your book is now in schools. That's if I'm not getting this wrong.
Yes, you know, no. So it's in schools, as in like my university and my secondary school.
Okay,
so
brilliant.
UK institutions, so it's there
brilliant.
and in libraries.
Yeah.
But the copies are in Zambia at the moment, and copies are out there at the moment, and we're selling them, and they're getting out to people, to family, and so on. And we're just trying to expand, you know, the reach and the market, and trying to tap into that Zambian market, and let people know that, you know, there is Zambians over here as well, and that this is happening. And I'd love to be able to, you know, for people to have inspired, and for Zambians to also read it and get inspired by the stories written.
Absolutely. And Zambians, the way I know us, we love to support our own. We love to claim. You know, that's something I was going to ask you. I was like, listen, bro, where did you say you're from again? Oh, Zambia. Yeah. Oh, there you go. I think the difference with you and I, like, I wouldn't necessarily call you a third culture kid because how old were you again when you came to the UK?
1.
You were 1. Right, so you're British, Zambian born, British, and that sort of thing. When I came here, I was 14 years old. Hence, they're like nuances. It's a whole mixture. I always say stuff. I have spent more of my life here though than I did in Zambia. But then third culture, similar to Raymond, we were speaking about our very good friend Raymond. Is the same thing. I think when he came here, he was about 12, 13. So. Similar cultures and that sort of thing, but it's fascinating to see you be interested about Zambia and be interested about the country. Where you were teasing me before about when did I last go to Zambia? I was like, bro, I've been back to Zambia since 2012, but I'm definitely going to be going back this year, and I'm looking forward to going back with a different view. I think I said this to a friend before, that each time when I've gone back home to Zambia, it hasn't really been with intention. And this is just being honest. It hasn't really been with a view of doing something. It's always been, well, I'm going to go back, see friends, see family, and what do the Nigerians call it? Enjoyment, right? Enjoyment and drinks and things like that and bowling. But this time around, I was like, no, do you know what? I'm going back home. It would be nice to see family, but I'm actually going there with a purpose, just to see how I can be an asset to the country, to my people, similar to some of the things that you've done, how I can be of use to our people and to the nation, how I can connect with some of the people that are doing different things there and actually make a difference. So one of the things that really inspired me, no pun intended, to do that was speaking to friends on an app called Clubhouse. So there's a good friend of mine called Chansa, really good brother, lives in America, has some amazing conversations. Another good person lives in London, she's called Sandra as well, and just a few other people. We came together, shared some brilliant ideas that we would like to put to practice. So those people really inspired me to want to go home, as I stated, with more of a purpose, with more of an eye of looking what's going on, how can I insert myself, and how can I actually be of difference, to my community and that sort of thing. So this is to kind of expand on the question that you asked me earlier.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yes, yeah. No, I definitely agree about, as we're, reaching, 20s, middle 20s and stuff, me anyway, you when you go back home and stuff, Zambia or wherever you're from, whether it's Africa or maybe even outside of Africa, absolutely, you have to be thinking with these intentions of, what your country has to offer. And my dad mentions it to me quite a lot that my friends and I, my other friends, whether they're African or Zambian, that we have a lot more opportunity than even people here, because we have 2 homes. We have the UK and we have Zambia. Absolutely. If I wanted to start a business, buy land or something like that in Zambia, it's possible.
It's your home. Yeah.
And, there's so much opportunity there that it's honestly a blessing that we have these 2 homes.
Absolutely. And as I was saying, Zambia is a very welcoming place. We embrace our own. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you were born. When you're Zambian, you are Zambian. So that thing that you said there is so important to say. Like it's actually more of a blessing. So we even have those opportunities that other people perhaps don't have. But just ask you this question. Do you know when you've been back? I know you were saying earlier that the last time you went was like 2019. Is that correct?
Yes, 2019.
What were some of the marquee things to take away, from home when you went back?
When I went back that time, it was during my A-levels, and it was the summer between year 12 and 13. But I mostly went for holidays, seeing family, enjoying time with family and so on. During my time there, I probably, the most I got from it was probably, learning more about Zambia, the people, the culture and everything. But it was more from a holiday sort of perspective going back there in 2019, definitely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Wasn't for business or anything like that?
Definitely not.
Oh, no, I hear you.
I wasn't even thinking about writing a book.
Right.
Then.
Yeah,
I wasn't even thinking about writing a book.
Chills. You're the guy that goes there for enjoyment, aren't you?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
I was like 17 at the time, so I wasn't really I wasn't really thinking about, doing too much. I wasn't really thinking about doing too much.
Bro, you don't want to hear the stories of when I went back to Zambia when I was 19. Yeah. We were a while ago. I've got a couple of friends there. They've grown and they're doing amazingly as well. Like mature, most of them are family people. At the time, we're just having a good time. We were young and we just loved life and living and that sort of thing. So I think of those stories now, they kind of make me laugh a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't trade any... Well, maybe I might have changed a few things in terms of, progressing myself. But yeah, it was most certainly like different from what you're doing. But everyone has their own journey, to be honest. And at that time, I think podcasts and things weren't that prominent, that sort of thing. So I feel like even the younger generation that are coming up, they've got more opportunity. They're more available to them for them to not have an excuse to do better. Do you get my point? So, but yeah, Zambia is home. I love it. I'm definitely looking forward to visiting, most certainly this year. That's if God allows. If not, it'll be next, but definitely at some point, we're going there this year and seeing what is going on there.
Yeah, no, the same for me. Hopefully, if God and COVID and every time and life permits, that I should be also going to Zambia sometime this year.
Yeah,
and would definitely be looking forward to doing a book tour there, another book launch in Zambia, and definitely going there for more, obviously, family and my time there, but especially with my book, I'd love to be able to get there beyond the ground and really do some work there.
There you go, and actually speak to people and kind of not sell. I'd say sell your book one person at a time. Not really sell, but introduce, get
it out there.
People to your book one step at a time. I mean, I've got a family member, an aunt. She's called Leah. She did the same thing. She's written a couple of books. She went back home, was doing some interviews, and that sort of thing. I was meant to find a book earlier, but sorry, auntie, I didn't find it. I'd have shown it to the people. I mean, she's written All Grown Up, and her most recent book is Leads. I almost forgot it. I was like, man, she's gonna bite my head off for forgetting it. Leads, really, really inspiring, really good reads. So yeah, she went back home, Zambia, did some interviews, same thing, introduced her book to people one step at a time. So it's like you're the second or third author that I'm speaking to. I actually interviewed her as well, but it was on Clubhouse interview. But I most certainly will be bringing her onto this podcast, having some conversations about how far she's come, what she's doing, that sort of thing, and perhaps discussing the work as well. But so jumping into the meat of it, jumping into the work, which is why we're here, inspired, right? I mean, to tell you a little bit about my podcast, Let Inspiration Take Over, the whole theme where it came from was to have conversations that are kind of meaningful and are inspiring, but they happen, without forcing them too much, without it coming across as convoluted, which can be a bit of a hard thing to do sometimes, to just let the conversation take over. That's where that sort of name came from. But the whole premise, I think I said this earlier, is just to share as many stories as possible. People to come, share their stories, discuss their process and that sort of thing. And again, introduce their work and their stuff, one viewer, one listener at a time. Just the name Inspired. What inspired that? Where did that come from? If you could tell us a little bit about that.
The formation of the name of the book.
So the name of the book, yeah.
Okay. So it was naming the book actually was the last thing that I did. I did all the writing months before.
Okay.
And even when it went to the publishers and editors, I was still sort of thinking about what name I'd want to give it, and I knew that the name was an important thing.
Yeah.
Once I gave it a name, that's it. It's done. Yeah. Once
your mark on it.
once I'm gone, that's going to be the name when I'm not here. So I knew that I wanted to just choose the right and the correct name, and I wanted
understandably so. Yeah.
I wanted a name that encompassed all of the book. Inspirational people, places, events, life stories. So one day, sometime in around summertime, June, July-ish, the name came to me, Inspired. And it came because I think that inspired means that everything written about in this book has inspired me.
There you go.
Everything written about it in it is just inspirational to me. So this is a book that I've written because I have been inspired.
Man, so, you better say that again, brother.
Yeah, so that came to mind.
Go, yeah.
And that's just something I managed to come up with in my mind. And then the stories within and around us, it was something that I asked for guidance from my parents. And I asked for guidance on names from my parents, my family, my publisher. And my publisher is the one who actually stated that I should have a one-worded book title.
There you go.
So that's where, I was thinking of one word, inspiration, inspired, for instance. But that's where it came from.
No, that's absolutely brilliant. Even the title itself sounds inspired. We're going to be using inspired and inspiration a lot. I mean, that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
This is where we're at. I know that you mentioned your dad a little bit. Could you tell us just a little bit about the man, who you came from and how he inspired you? Because I know I bring that up because I know your dad is a great man. He's an author himself. So just a little bit about that, if that's okay.
Yes, yeah. My dad, Martin Kalungu-Banda, he is, an author. He's a consultant, an author of 3 actually.
Brilliant.
His work ethic definitely inspires me. Who he is as a person, he's a very good father figure and a father figure that's definitely inspired me to go on to become the person I currently am, and definitely him himself, being an author himself as well, definitely inspired me to go on to write my own book because I was told by my friend, oh, you should write a book, but then maybe if my father wasn't an author, who knows whether I would have gone through with it in the end. But having somebody that as close to a father figure have authored before, it was a bit more easier to think, okay, it's something I can do. And I looked for him for guidance. He read through some of the early chapters that I wrote even, and he definitely was an inspiration to me, still is and will always be. Yeah,
absolutely. I can imagine. So I mean, are there some things that you'd say he's instilled in you when you were younger that kind of simmered up and they came to help you as you were writing your book, that sort of thing?
Valuing hard work, being kind to others.
There you go.
And even just now after releasing, he was always telling me, try and stay humble and so on.
Okay.
And keep your head and stuff. Anything could happen after you release a book like that.
Absolutely.
Anything can happen, but
it might not go exactly like you planned. You might only sell 1 copy.
Yeah, definitely. It could go the other side, all sorts. Yeah, definitely.
No, I hear you.
Brilliant. But it's things like good ethics. I would definitely, the ethics and just good values in life, respect and so on.
Okay, brilliant. I mean, take us back a little bit now. The process, where it all stemmed from, how it came about, the book, and the first time that you put to paper and that sort of thing. So just talking us back a little bit about background and how it was sort of inspired by in its inception and that sort of thing for our viewers listening. How did the whole idea come about, and how did it actually translate to putting pen to paper?
So the idea came from my friend Gilbert Healy, who is also a Zambian.
Okay.
He and I were on a FaceTime one day during the early days of lockdown, and I no longer had my A-level exams.
Yeah.
And had a lot of free time on my hands. I had a 6-month summer holiday ahead of me before I attended university. So during the FaceTime call once, he said to me, you should write a book.
Damn.
And out of nowhere, I thought, what am I going to write a book about?
What do you mean? Really? So, just from the blue, yeah, just like, you should write a book?
We were conversating, we were talking about time, lockdown, and then out of nowhere, he just says, you should write a book. And I'm like, what am I going to write a book about? Yeah, like, what am I going to write a book about? I'm 19. I mean, sorry, I was 17 at the time, about to turn 18. Yeah, I was 17.
Yeah.
Because it was March 2020 when this happened.
Okay, yeah.
And I was like, I'm not going to, what can I write a book about? I'm young.
I barely...
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought. I said, I've barely even lived. What am I going to write a book about?
Exactly.
And, he said to me, I asked him, what am I going to write a book about? And he said, write about your life, maybe. And after that, we left it there. That idea was pretty much put in my head. And after that, I attempted writing just a story from my secondary school days where I had different interactions and my relationships with my friends during my GCSEs changed. And that was the first chapter written for Inspired. Okay. It's not the first chapter in the book, but it's the first chapter that I wrote.
Kind of seeded it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what your friend did, me and my friends would call it planting the seed. you know, so if they want you to do something, they'll just throw it in there, like, oh, like the way he did, oh, you should write a book. And then so my friend would be like, oh, you know, this weekend, guys, or something has happened, wouldn't it be cool if we went out? And then it'll just change the story, but it's now planted the seed in your head. You're like, you can't stop thinking about going out because he said it. And then if he brings it up again, he brings it up enough times, you'll be like, do you know what? By the time it comes to it, you're now convinced you're going to do it. So I guess that's what I would call it. Like your friend sort of planted the seed of you doing it. Yeah.
He literally, he lit the match. And
there you go. Yeah.
He literally lit the match that, you know, set the whole fire apart, you know, which created that. And for him, he comes sometimes he can't remember even saying that.
Really?
Yeah, he can't even remember saying that. He just came out.
It's God, you know. Like that's what I was saying. Like some things, I genuinely, I do believe in divine intervention. I do believe like things don't happen. I don't believe so much in coincidences. I feel like everything happens for a reason. So yeah, it might have been God through him does that. You've done what you've done, and then the impact that you're going to have is based on that, and the person might not even remember. Like, what I said, what to you? So it's like divine intervention.
Yeah,
similarly to how I think I've said this before, how you've encouraged me to launch this podcast. And again, it's not to say it wasn't going to launch, but I tend to become a little bit too much with the perfectionism. Like this has to be right, and I have to get, so it can get a bit much, but sometimes God works through people, and then it starts, everything else then falls together. So I believe in that, to be like, I'm not surprised to say if he doesn't even remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, that's cool. Then, I mean, what was next after that?
After that, that was just, you know, the writing stages, and the book evolved over time. It wasn't, I didn't even think it was going to be, you know, the size of it, the way it is now, which is, you know, it's close to around 400 pages long. And I didn't think it was going to be that long. You know, initially it was just meant to be about inspirational people and what there is to learn from them.
And then there was more and more to write.
And then, you know, ideas evolved. You know, my dad mentioned some ideas involving places, self-inspiration, events, and so on. And it just evolved. At one point, I was ready to settle on about 10,000 words and leave it as 10,000 words isn't a big book. You know, it would have been probably the same size as a magazine.
Yeah.
But, you know, time passed. I didn't rush the process of saying, right, let me get a book out. Technically, I was wanting to get a book out early because I wanted the whole thing about, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old has gotten it out. I didn't really want to. I still wanted to publish it in my teens. So
so you didn't want to get to 20?
I didn't want to get to. I didn't want to get to 20.
There's nothing special about a 20-year-old publishing a book, is there?
I definitely wanted to publish it in my teens.
I hear you. But so you set kind of like you said.
Yeah, I had like a time frame.
Time scale.
Because otherwise you can end up writing forever,
bro.
And you can
end up writing forever and talking yourself out of it to be like, you know what, man, I don't think I should even write this book, man. It's not a good idea. Like, I don't know why we do that as humans. Sometimes you talk yourself out of something the longer you do it. So sometimes I think, you just have to take the plunge. So which is pretty impressive. Yeah. So, I mean, talk us through how you decided the setup of the book from the first chapter and that sort of thing, or is it what you said before where you were just sort of writing and then the chapters fell together afterwards, so where you pieced it together like a jigsaw puzzle, or how did that process work? How did you come to the decision on what you wrote on first, and what was the process with that? So,
you know, the book has 5 sections. So people, inspirational people, places, events, self-inspiration, and how lockdown inspired me. Those are the 5 different sections. So, you know, for people, for instance, I made a list of all the people that inspire me and that I'd want to talk about. I wrote chapters on them. I also did the same for every single other section. You know, self-inspiration, I thought about different stories throughout my life, wrote like, you know, the title of them, you know, what happened at that point in my life, and then wrote a chapter for them. So I would have a list of the content that I want, and then, you know, I would just write it day by day, and that's how I practically wrote it. And but the shaping of the order and everything, that was down to the editor as well. The editor is the one who said, okay, this story should come here, that story should come there, and the just correct order and this placing of the sections as well. So it was down to the editor, as well as myself, what I thought would come first, because it doesn't have to, the book isn't even in chronological order. It isn't like, when it comes to my section about, you know, self-inspiration, you don't go through my entire life from, you know, young till present day. It's different stories are jumbled at different points, and it's just how the editor sees
it
the
to
book
be
fitting. Yeah.
All right, no, that's I wondered a little bit about that. I know in our previous conversation you'd mentioned like Kalusha Walia as one of the key people that you mention in the book, isn't it?
He wrote the foreword for it.
There you go. And that's a man that really inspired my own life as a child. Like, when I was growing up, my mom absolutely loved football. Like she was a Zambian supporter. Like, do you know these supporters that they call here in England, like the hooligans? She wasn't a hooligan, but she was a football lover, and she absolutely loved Great Kalu. Like, I saw him play, I saw him win all the accolades, and he's one of the people, one of the Zambians I put to the highest scale, like to say that he's one of the people that was doing it first in terms of just achieving so much. What about him, right, inspired you, and what are some of the stories perhaps you tell in regards to him as it relates to you personally?
So since I was young, practically, I wanted to be a professional footballer. That was one of my dreams.
Okay.
I was playing football, and that's what I wanted, just like most other, young boys and so on. So by the time I was around 15, 16, in 2017 September, I was playing at a good level, even in the UK. I was playing like in the Midlands at a good club. And whilst I was in Zambia, my dad arranged for me to train with Zanako football team in Zambia. So I was serious about, trying to play professional football. So whilst in Zambia in 2017 September, I managed to meet Kalu. My dad arranged a meeting with the three of us. We spoke for about an hour, where I got to ask him anything and everything I wanted about football, how to make it, what he did, any tips he had. And that's, how we met. And he was kind, gave us his time, gave me advice.
There you go.
And that's how we met for the first time. And that was like the first moment I met him ever, and where he definitely inspired me just through my journey as a footballer. Yeah. But ever since I gave up, I sort of gave up the dream of becoming a professional footballer. And I wouldn't say I gave it up, but I realized that I did not want to become a professional footballer as much as I thought I may have wanted. So I sort of put that dream to the side. And there was like a weight lifted off of me.
Really? So what was the main reason why you sort of decided that you didn't want to go down the football route?
I mentioned this story in the book, 'cause I think it's an important story that people have to also pay attention in their own lives. So it was during my A-level exams. I was in year 12 at the time. I was still playing football, 5 times a week or so, training and so on, trying to continue to make it up in the different levels. Yeah, I was passionate about it. And I asked myself the question one day, if you had the option to either attend university or right now be picked up by an academy and go play professional, because you can't do both. You can't do both. No. Which one would you do? And I said to myself, I do want to experience university life. I want that experience in my lifetime. And once I said that and realized that for myself and answered that question, I realized that I did not want football as much as I may have thought I wanted. Because, a professional footballer or a footballer it's football or nothing. It's football. It's nothing else but football.
Bro, listen, it's very interesting that you say that, because most people will take the other route, with the football.
Okay.
Because you know how it is, like where football, everyone, when we think of football, we think of money, you think of the lifestyle, so most people will even look down on whatever ambitions that they've got to go that route purely off of the fact that they'll think that they'll have higher earning potential, that sort of things. So for you to actually reach a moment to have that profoundness, to be like, I'm going to decide on where my heart is at because I want to experience that. Even that in itself is quite big, bro. I'm going to say it because some of the people that I've spoken to and I've heard, they'll go down that route, and the main reason I said money, but there are a whole lot of other reasons why they'll, other benefits or privileges that they'll think they'll get in being in football. When you're a footballer, you're famous, the girls want you, and all that great stuff, right? So even that in itself, in my opinion, is quite a big decision, and impressed with that.
And I knew at the time, like there was a period of time when I was playing, I was like 15, 16, when money did come to mind. You get that sort of lifestyle.
The bag.
And pretty much.
There you go.
And that's something that, just athletes shouldn't really have in their mind, because when you're asked to run however many kilometers and, they're killing you in training to get you fit, money's not going to motivate you.
Nope.
passion is, and you need to have that raw passion if you want to go down that lifestyle. And for me, I think the passion was there, but it's not as raw as people who do make it, and the people that do really want. That's it for them. That's all they see their life doing.
Absolutely. And I think it's really important to be honest with yourself. I feel like sometimes people are not honest with themselves, and what happens is they'll go down a route, do a whole thing, spend 5 years, and it's kind of like 5 years wasted when you could have actually been doing something else that you actually love and that sort of thing, and progress that way. So I mean, again, to have that level of I'll call it introspection at your age, bro, I'm looking forward to whatever is coming, whatever you're going to be doing. I don't know what avenues you're considering to take as you go on, but I can just see amazing. I can see great things to come for you. I can only pray, really, to be honest, that you actually, mind you, this is not the ending, I'm just saying it. Like, I can only pray that you continue on this route, because the trajectory you've been going, the way you think, I can already see that there are some amazing things and great things that are to come for your life. I don't know what they are. I don't know how, but I just get this sense, and I put it on your life as well, to be like, it's an amazing thing to be at the, I don't know that word, to be at the, down end, bottom end of something great coming.
Yes,
speaking to you earlier about
being at the start.
At the start,
being the start of people's journey.
Use that hard word. I was speaking to you earlier about, and I won't go too deeply into it because I know you want to go back and watch it. The Kanye West documentary, and how he really just came up, and everything that he invested, what he poured into it. And I was saying how I have a newfound respect for the man. I mean, I may not agree with everything he does. Some things that he does are a bit conflict with some of my values, but him as a man, and looking at how he literally fought to show people what he was capable of, what he could do, and then he's gone and then proven. So it's not just words, but it's action. It was just something to marvel at. Absolutely amazing, to see him do that and everything that went into that. But I know you're due to watch episode 2. Look forward to it, bro. You're definitely gonna have a good time watching that and that sort of thing. But so we're talking about Great Kalu, how he inspired you. Who else are some of the people perhaps that you discuss in the book, and perhaps how they've inspired your life, that sort of thing?
I talk about musicians are in there, actors are in there. A president's in there, Barack Obama.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so
I'll show you his book there. Love Mr. Obama.
But I would say that one person who definitely does inspire me, and his values, his outlook on life, is something that I try and apply every single day that I live, is probably Kevin Hart.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart is definitely a big inspiration of mine, and has his chapter in the book, and I discuss why it is that he inspires me, and what it is about him, and what he does to inspire other people. His do more attitude, whether he can do more. He's constantly
that guy.
He's constantly asking himself whether he can do more.
It's different.
And, literally. and that question is something I apply to myself, and I try to ask myself day by day whether I can do more, because asking yourself that question, it's unlimited.
Absolutely.
You don't know how much you can do in a day, how much you can do with a month, a year, and so on. So just his outlook on life.
Interesting. I'm gonna bring some controversy. What you say there, again, I'm not even gassing. It's so profound where you say you can do more in a day. However, ask yourself, can I actually do more? And I feel like very few people do that. Again, I'm generalizing. I'm sorry if I am. But for me, I am that person. I'm never satisfied, right? If I do something, I'm always on to the next. How can I do it better? I need to get to the, how can I do that, right? So yes, brother, as we were saying before, I was just looking at some of the people that inspired you in the book and that sort of thing. One of the guys, he lives in the city where you go to university, Patson Daka, right? absolutely amazing individual. Brother Patson, you need to come onto the podcast, brother. Let inspiration come and take over, because I just think your story is amazing. How you've ascended from Europe, you were killing it. You're now in Leicester, you're absolutely killing it. Not only that, it's just the way you carry yourself as a Zambian, proud, and also more importantly, as an African. You're just an amazing individual. Good brother, you had an experience with Patson Daka, isn't it? If you could tell us a little bit about that, that'd be great.
Yes, yeah. So through family connections, my family and I managed to meet Patson. He came home for one day and we shared a meal together. And it was good that we were just able to connect through another family friend, whilst he's here in the UK playing football, and just trying to meet and connect with other Zambians. That's how we managed to actually meet. And of course, I took the opportunity to gift him with a copy of my book, tell him what I'm doing and my own thing, and he was happy to endorse it. And has been a big part of the support,
the journey,
and the journey and promotion for me. And it was definitely just good to meet him. He's a very nice,
busy,
nice guy. He's a normal guy. He's
absolutely,
honestly,
bro.
He's a normal Zambian guy.
I saw, because people do amazing things and you just like, what is he like? He's nice, stuck up, that sort of thing. But no, he comes across as a gentleman, humble, gentle giant sort of thing, because things that he does are amazing. It's nothing short of something that you have to marvel at. But the way he carries it and so humble, as I said, it does our country proud. It does Zambia proud. Similar to what you're doing, the way you're carrying it with such grace, doing Africa, doing Zambia proud. So that's really good to hear. But I know there was something else that you want to speak about earlier.
Yes, like even during this time of meeting people who are sort of people with status, practically people who are achieving things, people doing things, athletes, social influencers, YouTubers, and so on, meeting these people who are all in their own niches and they're doing well, they're dominating, they're coming up. Even it's given me that exposure to know the type of people I want to be around.
Absolutely,
it's giving me that exposure to definitely know the type of people I want to be around. I've always wanted to be around go-getters, similar mindset, ambitious people. Those are just people that I'm drawn to. Ever since I was quite young, still in secondary school, I've been drawn to people like that. And I think it's an important thing that many people, everyone needs to be considering the people that you're around, the people that you're surrounding yourself with, because that has a big effect on you. The people you're around affect the way you behave, the way you see life.
I agree, bro.
Have your perspective and everything. There's that saying that I think 50 Cent said it. I'm not sure who exactly said it, but
I was gonna say it.
You know the saying I'm talking about.
I know the saying you're talking about.
You're only as good as the weakest.
Oh no, that's a different one.
You're only as good as the weakest person in your
link.
Yeah.
The saying that I was thinking of is your makeup is based on the 5 closest people in your life. That's what makes up who you are. We spend the 5 people you spend the most time with. But go ahead.
Like these things, that concept, the whole, who you surround yourself with, is a thing that many people talk about. It's being talked about across time, and you see it.
Absolutely.
You see it with, inspirational, inspiring people, or people who are doing things. They're around like-minded people.
Absolutely.
So if you want to go and do things, be things, achieve things, you have to be around people that are doing those things. It's simple. It literally is as simple as that.
Yes,
you can't be around people who are not as ambitious.
And expect that you're going to be the one that's ambitious. No, it doesn't work that way.
Like you need to just be around people that are doing similar things, or
you do
things that you want. And the thing is, you don't have to be ambitious. Maybe being ambitious, being a go-getter isn't for you. But then if that is what you want, which most people do, people want to elevate in life.
Absolutely.
And you have to be around people that also want to elevate. So even for myself, I have to be cautious at times around the certain people I'm allowing myself to be around, because it has an effect on me. It definitely has an effect.
If I had a bell to press, like some, I'd have put it through, because the way you said it was absolutely perfect. Because even tech companies, if you look at most of the people that come out and do these big ventures like Uber, Deliveroo, they started out with other big tech giants. So they might have started out at Google, or they might have started out at whatever company, but they surrounded themselves with those people that were already doing it. They might have been interns, they might have been whatever, but then when they go, they're big, they're giants. Another good example, we've spoken about him, Kanye West, right? When he was starting out, when he was struggling, the people he surrounded himself with, the Pharrell, Ludacris, Jamie Foxx, all these people are great in their own right. But you see, they spend time with each other at the studio. If you look at them, but then you now look at where they are, the Steve Harveys, the people that they had around. You see, Cedric the Entertainer is there. I'm a TV guy, so I'll tell you so much about TV. He's doing his own thing. He's got his own show. Steve Harvey's 100 millionaire. Kevin Hart, but the people that he hangs around, Tiffany Haddish, it passes over on you. Yeah. So that statement, bro, you couldn't have articulated it better. You couldn't have said it. I couldn't have said it greater to say the people that you hang around, the company you keep is so imperative. I couldn't even say it more, and it defines where you're going to go and how you're going to be. And you can't just be around the wrong company, then be surprised when certain things creep up, certain things, I was involved in something and it wasn't my fault. You will find yourself in that. I usually say that to my wife. I was like, man, now I'm so strict with my space. I'm so strict with my own time, because I realize that if I'm around the wrong company and so I catch a stray bullet, it's very difficult for me to come back and explain, to be like, well, it wasn't me. That's not good enough anymore. And I'm so hard, I'm so harsh myself to be like, bruh, here where you are, it's your responsibility. There ain't no explaining this back home to your wife. There's no explaining this to your family. If something kicks off or something happens, it's no longer good enough for you to say, well, it wasn't me, it wasn't my fault, it's that person. Nah. Why were you there? Why were you around that company? You have to have the discernment. You have to know better and understand that finding yourself in certain company could affect your life. It could affect the trajectory on your life in such a way that it could derail your life completely. So just want to really big up and re-emphasize that point that you made there, bro.
Definitely.
Yes. So, I mean, it's been a very interesting chat. Like, I could go for days speaking. I know we're going to be having a conversation again, as I said, about different things. Sometimes we just chop it up about life or whatever. I know we're having different guests coming on, but for me, familiar faces, I say to you, I want them on because you understand the ethos, of the podcast and everything that I'm trying to do. I think I've told you a little bit about my story, but it's only like the tip, the iceberg of what I'm doing and everything that I'm trying to do. Bro, you're an absolutely amazing individual with everything that you do. I only make time for people that I see the potential and I think are worthy of my time, because as I say, it might sound a little bit arrogant, but my time's precious. If it was anyone else and I don't believe in anything that you're doing, I'm not going to make my time, because it's a lot. I've got family, I've got work, I'm busy most times. So most certainly made time for you, my brother, and it was worth every nook and cranny, right? Well, I wanted to ask you, before we sort of jump into the closing end of this podcast, we won't even call it an interview, it's just a podcast chatting. Is there anything that you would like to touch on that we might not yet, have touched on, that sort of thing today?
Not necessarily, but just from what you've said, you it's something I'm also trying to learn more now as well. That your time is valuable. There was that. Roddy Ricch recently said, I think in his recent album release, that time is it's like the most expensive thing you can spend, because it's something that you spend but never get back.
Absolutely. You can get money back, you can lose money and get it back. Time you
never get back after expending it. So valuing your own time is important. Choosing who you spend it with, what you do with it. It's important, and you should actually add value to your own time, because successful people add value to their time.
And that's what makes them rich. It makes them successful. Even valuing other people's time. Valuing your own time and valuing other people's time as a currency is so important. People will have so much more respect for you if you understand the importance of their time and you don't take that lightly. You don't take that for granted. You'll have more. People will embrace you more. But if you're complacent, and sometimes it's something that gets mistaken for our culture, like, black culture and black man time. I don't believe in any of that. Like, for me, find that cringe. I'm telling you, bro, I find that I can't stand it. Like, I like to be prepared. I like to be meticulous. unless something is outside my control. If it's outside my control, then it's like, again, I have to take the accountability, take the responsibility to be like, you know what, this has happened, and find a way to sort of make up for it in a way. So yeah, time, absolutely important. But yeah, I mean, with that said, what have we got to look forward to in this coming year, 2022? Sometimes I forget. We've lost 2 years, but yeah, 2022, bro. What have you got coming up? What do we have to look forward to?
2022.
Yes.
So of course I'll continue to, keep pushing Inspired, keep trying to get it out there, as many endorsements and support as
Absolutely.
I can get. Tours, I definitely want to get into some book tours this year.
Okay.
I'll be traveling a bit throughout the year, so hopefully things can work out with, going to different countries, tapping into different markets.
Yeah.
And other than that, continuing writing and so on, just reading, continue keeping the writing juices flowing, you just continue
absolutely
doing, leisurely writing and so on. So yeah, that's about it so far. Continue to just push this.
Yeah.
And seeing how the year looks ahead.
Absolutely. I mean, as I was saying to yourself, I don't know if you could tell, for me, an exciting year ahead. There's some great things to come, and some of it, like, I think I'll open up to you as we go. I'm sure we'll be talking. I'll definitely be checking up on you. Finding out how you're getting on with everything that you're doing. As I said, this is not just a podcast, but it's also a space that I see gives me the opportunity to network with people. So anyone that aligns with some of the things that you're doing, I'm sending them your way, brother, right? Anyone that similar to where I feel like they can benefit some stuff from you, so I'll reach out to you and I'll tell you, like, no, bro, got this person, what do you think? They need some knowledge or whatever, and just an exchange of knowledge and exchange of progression and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm definitely excited for this year and everything that's to come. And even doing this podcast with you, this is making it real. As you can tell, bro, I've been so excited. The energy is different for me today compared to even any other podcast that I've done. I love all the people that have come previously on my podcast. I was telling you, some of my friends have just indulged me and allowed me to get started at the bottom end and just to kind of put the pieces together in order to get to this point. And even now I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, but I want to elevate it. Again, that saying that you said earlier, I'll be asking myself, okay, am I working hard enough? Am I working harder? And what I want to do is to elevate this platform, elevate not only myself, but also elevate other people through other people's stories. For instance, the story that you've told us today about your book. Again, guys, remember to go get Neo's book. I mean, you know what? Seeing as we're coming to an end, I even pick it up. I'd be like, if I can show it just in case, if there's any chance that he wasn't showing. This brother, this is a book. It's a proper book. Look at that. It's not a pamphlet or anything. It's a book. And yeah, it's been great having you on the platform, bro. You opening it up, the rebranded version of Let Inspiration Take Over is absolutely appropriate. I mean, I'm so grateful, so thankful that you graced our platform with your presence and just shared some of your gems, shared some of your stories. I know for a fact there's more to be unpacked. So I look forward to having you back to have a chat, whether you've got something going on, as I said earlier, or you just want to chop it up and that sort of thing. Never know, next time I might even come to you and that sort of thing, and we still have the same chat, same conversation. But yeah, just before we wrap it up and close it off, is there anything final that you would like to add, that sort of thing?
No, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have had this conversation with you. I found it insightful, enjoyable, and yeah, I'm grateful for the platform. Yeah. Brilliant,
guys. Let Inspiration Take Over podcast. We're back with a bang. I need to get used to YouTube lingo. Make sure you subscribe, right? And also make sure that you click on the bell, because the algorithm loves that sort of thing. You guys subscribing, clicking the bell. Also, just make sure that you're commenting. Let us know what you're thinking of how the podcast is going and that sort of thing. Love your feedback. I'm letting you know now we're lighting this up. That's why this is called the LiT podcast, right? LiT Inspiration Takeover. I'm going to be bringing you some amazing stories, going to be bringing you some inspirational stories, and we're going to be elevating the platform in the way we do it, with equipment and everything else. Make sure that we're bringing you an absolutely, undoubtedly quality product that you can enjoy, but also just enjoying the stories from people's own perspectives and that sort of thing. But thank you so much for joining us once again. Now, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And yeah, see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.